So welcome everybody. This is another video that I am making on my preparation of GMAT. So today will be a little different. I have a special guest with me, Ria. She is a wonderful lady. She is currently working in an MNC company, and she has been an inspiration to me. And she is the one reason that I am preparing so hard for GMAT because I have to do something. So let's get this all things apart. Let's move on to the question section directly. But before that, I just want to ask Ria, how are you feeling today? Hello.
Yeah, hi, I can hear you, Sohail. So, first of all, let me thank you for asking me to join your YouTube channel. It's been a great honor for me. And of course, there is nothing much to talk about myself, but you already gave some introduction about myself. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So
so
how are you feeling? Means you aren't preparing any GMAT questions yourself, so you are totally out of touch of any of these things. So
yeah.
just heading on directly to this preparation with me. How are you means, looking forward to it?
So, I don't want to lie to anybody, but yes, I have watched your some videos in YouTube, and I must say it's a great help for beginners and as well as for me. Right now, yes, I'm not preparing for any competitive exam, but okay,
Yeah,
since
just you just giving yourself a try. Correct. Yeah, so
yeah,
so these things may be a little alien to you, your the GMAT questions, but these things what I actually brought you today is because these questions are very basic and they actually stick to the common sense of us. It doesn't require too much of preparation. Just I want to see that a person who is not preparing for GMAT and how does he look upon the questions and how the take between someone who is preparing and someone is not preparing, the difference in the reasoning, that we will focus more today. And since this is a very special episode, so there will be no timing for this. There will be no timer set. It will be how much time you can take, no time limit. But we will go into details, and I will try to make understand how much I understand about the topic and what I reason about the questions and its option. I will share everything in this video. Maybe I can get wrong, but that is a part of the preparation, correct? So
yeah.
without, yeah, and thank you, Ria, once again because your some motivational the talk that you gave right now, that it may help several students who are preparing. This only boosts me or motivates me to make more videos. And since this is only a beginning of my YouTube channel, I hope this grows more people use it, because ultimately everyone will benefit from it. So I hope you have the questions, Ria, with yourself that I have
Yes,
shared.
yes, I have.
Okay, so without wasting much any more time, let's head on directly to the question. So, question number 727. So, this is a critical reasoning question. What critical reasoning means is that there will be a paragraph and it will mean something, and after that there will be a question, and this question will have five options to choose from, and from that one will be the strongest answer. Now mind it, this will be the most strongest answer. There may be two or three correct answer, but GMAT wants to answer the strongest answer. I mean, that is the most suitable answer for the question. There may be two or three correct answers, but there will be little difference between them, and we have to choose from that. Now, before uh, getting to the question, also I want to say three things, and yeah, you must follow that. That whenever there is a question, the options that follow, they generally fall in three categories, and you have to know which three categories the options are lying. Now, the category number one, this the answer may sound very logical. Okay, from our common sense, it may sound very logical, but the answer is will be out of context. That means that it is not referring anything to the portion that has been given. So we will eliminate that one. Second one, it will be from the passage only, but it will directly, or I will say it will be illogical to the question asked. So we will eliminate that also. So these two categories we will eliminate. Now what remains is the third option, that is the correct answer. But what I have said earlier, there can be two or three correct answers, and out of that the most suitable one we have to choose. So we will follow the process of eliminating and then choosing the correct answer. So let's start with the question. Let me read the passage first. Professor. Now, professor is saying a marine biologist argues that transmission of sea life from farm salmon to wild salmon is unlikely in the Broughton Archipelago, British Columbia, citing numerous studies suggesting that salinities less than 30 parts per thousand are unfavorable to sea life survival. The biologists conclude that the archipelago's 25 to 30 per thousand salinity range between March and June, the critical period for wild salmon migration, and this tends to suppress sea life proliferation. But a review of the literature shows that salinities of 25 to 30 parts per thousand in combination with British Columbia's cool spring temperatures favor the flourishing of sea life. So this is the passage, and to be very honest, I didn't get anything to it. What does it mean or what it doesn't mean? So it happens a lot of times. No problem, just read it once again, and now you have a little bit idea about the passage, so you can understand what to understand and what to leave apart, what to stress and what to leave apart. So I will read once again. A professor is saying that a marine biologist argues. So he is saying about a marine biologist. And what does the marine biologist argue? He argues that transmission of sea lice from farm salmon to wild salmon, the transmission of a sea lice that happens from a farm salmon to wild salmon is unlikely in the something place. ठीक है, so this is some place it has mentioned. So these are actually GMAT sometimes like to throw this type of long hard places name so that you get confused, but we don't have to focus on that. We have to focus what is written after that, citing numerous studies suggesting that salinities less than 30 parts per thousand are unfavorable for sea life survival. So what the marine biologist is saying, that a transmission of sea lice from farm salmon to wild salmon is unlikely. That is, it cannot happen in this British Columbia. And what are the reasons he is citing? Numerous studies which suggest that salinities less than 30 parts per thousand are unfavorable to sea lice survival. So since there are the salinity that is less than 30 parts per thousand, so there is a little chance of survival. Therefore, transmission of sea lice from farm salmon to wild salmon is very unlikely. Now, what he said next? The biologist also concludes that the archipelago's 25 to 30 parts per thousand salinity range between March and June, the critical period for wild salmon migration, tends to suppress sea lice proliferation. Okay. So what does he say? That earlier he said that less than 30 parts per thousand are unfavorable. But now he is saying that the biology concludes that the archipelago's 25 to 30 parts per thousand salinity range between March to June is the critical period for wild salmon migration, and it tends to suppress sea lice proliferation. Okay, but a review of the literature shows that salinity is 25 to 30 parts per thousand in combination with British Columbia's cool spring temperatures favor the flourishing sea life. So see, ultimately they are saying that there will be a flourishing of sea life. So in this passage, the professor attempts to undermine the biologist's argument by, how does he undermine the biologist's argument? The biologist said that the farm salmon will not transmit to wild salmon, but he argues later by citing an example of a literature which says that salinities of 20 to 30 parts per thousand in combination with British Columbia's cool spring temperatures favor flourishing of sea life. Now the points are: A. Pointing out that a condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. Okay. Uh, Citing studies that suggest that salinity levels were not measured reliably. C. Claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premises is false. Questioning the reliability of biological scientific sources. And E. Showing that its conclusion is inconsistent with its premises. Now, how we should go? Now, have you gone through the points, Ria?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think would be the correct answer? Just you can guess it, but you will give a reason for that. Why are you guessing that?
Um, it's very confusing.
It is a little confusing, but if you get the passage right, then I think you can choose the option. See, what the professor is saying, that a marine biologist is arguing that sea life from farm salmon to wild salmon is unlikely going to survive
So
because
it's kind
salinity is
of a
less than
study.
30% is unfavorable.
So
But
is it kind of a study they are talking about?
huh, the biologist also concludes that the archipelago's 25 to 30 parts per thousand salinity range between March to June. It is a critical period um, for wild salmon migration, and it tends to turbulence. So actually the marine biologist is always saying that the this salinity range or this thing is unfavorable, and sea life from farm salmon to wild salmon is unlikely to happen. But see, the from the part but a review of the literature. This is where the professor is saying now. He's saying that a review of the literature shows that salinity is 25 to 30 parts per thousand in combination with British Columbia's cool spring temperatures, favor the flourishing of sea life. So earlier, the biologists said that 25 to 30% are unfavorable. Now, he is citing one literature saying that this 25 to 30% per thousand is okay. But along with it, the British Columbia's cool spring temperature favors the flourishing of sea life. So, in one way, he is opposing the marine biology. Now, the points that are given here, that he is pointing out that a condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. So, does it say that it is not sufficient for it? So, actually, it is not correct, because he
Mm-hmm.
is saying that 25 to 30 part is actually favorable for flourishing sea life. So, I have to eliminate this option. I will eliminate option A. Now, the second one is citing studies that suggest that salinity levels are not measured reliably. Now, do you think this is correct?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah.
What
I
means what you think about this point?
I think so. It's
It is incorrect.
okay, but why? Because
See, he actually cited a literature which says that salinity is 25 to 30 parts per thousand in combination with something favor flourishing sea life. But does he say anything that this was measured reliably or unreliably? He doesn't say that. So option B says that citing studies that suggest that salinity levels were not measured reliably. So there is no question of reliability, which he has said earlier.
mm-hmm.
So I have to eliminate this also, B. Okay, so I am eliminating B because of this, because no question of reliability has been said.
Mm-hmm.
Now C is claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premises is false. Um, what are the premises that the marine biologists say? The biologist said that salinity less than 30% and 25 to 30% per thousand salinity range between March and June are critical period. But does he say that any one of this is false? He doesn't say. He accepts that there is 25 to 30% per thousand in combination with British Columbia. So he is saying extra. Apart from 25 to 30%, there is some extra. So I don't think this will also be one of the options. So I am eliminating this also. Now D and E. D is questioning the reliability of the biologist's scientific source. Uh, Have you said anything about the sources uh, of the
No,
biologist?
no,
Nothing
no.
has been said, right? So this is also out of context a little bit.
So as per the explanation, I think E is the correct answer.
So according to my thought process or my reasoning, he is only the remaining option. So I may be wrong because I may be wrong in the reasoning, and this is the interesting part of GMAT because no one knows. Even if you reason it more accurately or more strongly, which I say, you can get it right. The last option is, so I am just seeing that if it is consistent with my answer. He is showing that its conclusion is inconsistent with its premises. Mm, See, this can be the answer. Why? Let me tell you. Showing that its conclusion is inconsistent with its premises. So how it is inconsistent? Because he tells that there is a literature which shows that 25 to 30 parts per thousand, and this favors the life, the flourishing of life. But the biologist said that it doesn't favor. So in some way, he is saying that this conclusion is inconsistent with its premise. So I think this is the correct answer. I will go with it. But before going to it, I just want to go through once again all the options. Option A, pointing out that condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. Hmm, okay. A marine biologist argues transfer to the wild coming is unlikely. In the bottom, citing numerous studies suggesting that salinity less than 30 parts per thousand are unfavorable for sea life. See, option A I have eliminated, but there is a catch. The catch is he is pointing out that a condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. See, what he has said that salinity is less than 30 parts per thousand are unfavorable for its survival. But the biologist never said that the combination of British Columbia's cool spring temperature favor. So in some way, only mentioning that the salinity of less than 30 parts is the only criteria, he is missing out the point on the temperature. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, A is also it can be the correct answer too. So I think I will mark A also in my options to be correct answer. Apart from that, B is citing studies that suggest that salinity levels are not measured every disease out of context, claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premise is false. This is also nothing said about false or true. Questioning the reliability of biology's scientific sources. So he's not questioning. So between A and E. So this actually happens between two questions. We have to pick the most suitable answer. So A is pointing out that the condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. And option E is showing that its conclusion is inconsistent with its premises. Mm, the marine majority is, so I think I will go with A. I am recorrecting my option because A to me is more stronger to be the correct answer. Okay, so I am eliminating E and I will go with A. Because A says that pointing out a condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. Because he also mentions about the British Columbia's pool temperature, which the biologist hasn't mentioned. So this is not only the only criteria. So I am going with A. Okay. So I am choosing A. Any thoughts about that?
I am going with the flow.
Okay. So you are also seconding me to choose option A, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yeah.
So are you supporting option A?
Yes.
Okay. Now then let's move on to the next question.
Okay, so we cannot see the answer right now.
Yes, we can see the answer right now. Definitely, we can see. Okay, uh, let's see the answer.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me forward you. I haven't forwarded you the answers, correct? So just let me forward you the
It's
answers.
okay, but you can see and let me know like what is the answer.
Okay, so let me share you the answers. No, it's okay. Let me share the answer. So I think I have made some mistake. Just wait a minute. Mm, Let me just hold on a second. Just let me open the answer. 727. Okay. Okay. The 727. The answer that they have given is option C. So see, there must have been some um, some lacking in my reasoning. And option C, they have given it correct, and they have eliminated option A and E also. So what does it say about option A? Option A is they are saying that this does not accurately describe the processor's technique. In effect, the processor points out that salinity, 30 ppt or more are not necessary for sea life survival. Lower salinity combined with lower temperatures are sufficient to enable sea life survival. Okay, so what was option A? Pointing out that a condition claimed to be necessary for sea life survival is not sufficient for it. Okay, option C, they have said, as explained in the reasoning section above, the professor appeals to the evidence from the literature to show that one of the biologist's premise is false. So option C was claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premise is false.
Okay, so I think we have read the question incorrect because the professor attempts to undermine the biologist's argument. Undermine means what is the weakest point we have to find out, right?
Yeah.
So, but
So
we are finding out.
undermine means he saying that he's telling wrong. The biologist is telling wrong. But how did I miss this option? Number C, it is saying that claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premises is false. But I don't think this was the option there. Okay. How did I miss option C? Yeah, now it becomes very clear, correct? Option C is claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premises is false. Uh, yeah, so this was actually a IUV question, right? Because see, option C means it is as clear as the day, claiming that there is evidence showing that one of its premises is false. So one of its premises is false means Um, there is some literature review which shows that even 25 to 30 parts per thousand in combination with British Columbia's cool spring temperatures favor flourishing of sea life. So in that way, he's claiming that there is evidence showing that one of his premises is false. So I think this makes sense, correct? Hello.
Yeah.
So the evidence they are saying that yeah, there is evidence that showing that one the premise is false. So I think yeah, this is the correct one. Now, how did I miss it? I don't know. This is a big mistake. Means it was a very simple answer. Maybe I was thinking too deep, and I needed not to think that deep for this answer. So did you get the answer?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's move on to the next question then. This was a silly mistake. 728. It says advertisement. It says our advertisement. When your car's engine is running at its normal operating temperature, any major any major brand of motor oil will protect it about as well as Tough does. When the engine is cold, it is a different story. Tough motor oil flows better at lower temperature than its major competitors do. So if you want your car's engine to have maximum protection, you should use Tough. So this is a wonderful question. It is saying about an advertisement. Okay, the advertisement is that they are saying in the advertisement they are saying that when your car's engine is running at its normal operating temperature, then any brand of motor oil will protect it as well as like the Tough does. So Tough is the company who is advertising. But when the engine is cold, means in cold temperatures, they mean it is a different story. Why? Because Tough motor oil flows better at lower temperature than its major competitors do. So if you want your car's engine to have maximum protection, you should use Tough. So this is a very good question, isn't it?
Yeah. Very good
Okay.
advertisement actually.
So I just want you to read the options for me. Just let me include you also in the discussion because I'm the only one speaking.
So the question is, which of the following, if true, most strengthens the argument in the
Strengthen. Yeah.
advertisement?
Yeah. So
So
which one of the
point,
option, if we think will be our answer, it will help to strengthen the argument. Means the advertisement. It will help to promote the advertisement more. So just read the options and you say what you think about the answer.
so point is, tough motor oil provides above average protection for engines that happens to overheat.
Okay. So do you think this can be the answer?
Uh, let me read all the options first.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Of course. Of course.
Point option B, tough motor oil is periodically supplied free of charge to automobile manufacturers to use in factory new cars. This is actually not mentioned anywhere.
Yeah. Carry on. You just read all the five
Point
options. Yeah.
point C, tough motor oil share of the engine oil market peaked 3 years ago. Okay. Point D, tough motor oil, like any motor oil, is thicker and flows less freely at cold temperature than at hot temperature. Point E, tough motor oil is manufactured at only one refinery and shipped from there to all markets. I think point D is the correct answer.
Um,
Because point B, it is not mentioned anywhere. Point C is not mentioned anywhere, like 3 years and anything.
so okay. So let me just go through the options once. Which one of the following? No, what do you think? Point A, correct.
Point D, I am thinking. The point D is the correct answer.
Point B. So you are thinking point B. Okay, let me go through the points once again. Tough motor oil provides above average protection for engines that happen to overheat. But see, no, what I have told that we have three scenarios. One is one point will be which may be correct, but it is out of context because it is not mentioned in the passage. There will be another one which will be with the context, but it will be illogical, or maybe it will be not help to strengthen our answer. And point C is that these are the correct answers, but we have to find the subtle difference for which the answers are correct and some answers are wrong. So point A, it is saying about overheat. So does the passage say anything about overheat? Nowhere it is saying. So it is out of context. So we have to eliminate it. Okay, so we are eliminating point A. Now let's move on to point B. Point B is tough motor oil is periodically supplied free of charge to automobile manufacturers to use in factory of new cars. Now, why do you think this is correct?
I'm not thinking this is correct.
No, so which one you actually chose the correct answer?
D, option D.
Oh, D. So I beg pardon for that. I actually heard it B. Okay, yeah. Very sure. Option B is out of context. They have said nothing about the free supply of charge. We don't know if other manufacturers are also supplying free of charge. So since there's very less information or it is out of context, so we are eliminating B also. Correct. Okay. Now C, tough motor oil share of the engine oil market peaked 3 years ago. So does this information help anything about the advertisement?
No.
No. Correct. So we have to eliminate C also. Now let us move to D, which is your answer. Tough motor oil, like any motor oil, is thicker and flows less freely at cold temperature than at hot temperature. So see, they have asked which one of these most strengthens the argument. That means which one of these will help the advertisement to reach to people, not reach to people, for people to accept. But option D is saying tough motor oil, like any motor oil, is thicker and flows less freely at cold temperature than at hot temperature. Now, if you see the passage, tough motor oil claims that it flows better at lower temperature. So, do you think this will be the correct answer?
Yes.
May I ask why? Because it says it flows less freely, whereas in the passage it is saying that it flows better.
Okay. Maybe I made a mistake to read.
Yeah, because see in the if you read the passage, it says that tough motor oil flows better at lower temperature than its major competitors. But here it's saying that it is thicker and flows less freely at cold temperature than at hot temperature.
Saying opposite, right?
Okay, yeah, it's opposite. So if anyone know, see, advertisement has said this one. Suppose you are buying tough oil or any other oil, and you have seen this advertisement, so you will be happy. Okay, I will buy tough oil. Now you say that if any of these points is said to you, now if any of these points are said to you and which makes you want more to buy the tough oil, that will be the correct answer. Okay, now you understand.
Mm-hmm.
That will be my correct answer. So if someone says that tough motor oil, like any other motor oil, is thicker and flows less freely than cold temperatures, so I think this is not helping in the advertisement to progress. Correct. So I am eliminating D also. So are you agreeing with me?
Yes.
Okay. So number E, our last point. Tough motor oil is manufactured at only one refinery and is shipped from here to all markets. So if someone says this, that tough motor oil is manufactured only at one refinery and it ships from there to all markets, does that help in strengthening the advertisement? Maybe this is a helpful for the logistic purpose for the tough motor oil, but does this help in the advertisement? What do you think?
Uh, so actually, as a consumer, I don't think it's helpful for me.
Yeah, correct. So it's not helping. So I can see we have eliminated all the
All
options.
option. I
Yeah.
think option A could be. Uh, we
So
can.
see, so it can happen that what your thinking process, it will eliminate all the answers that can. Now you have to see which one now helps it. Correct. So we have to revisit all the options. Option A, tough motor oil provides above average protection for engine that happens to overheat. Now you have to think differently. See, maybe this one is something not mentioned in the context, but if someone says this, that
Hmm.
it provides above average protection for engines that happens to overheat, so this may help you, to accept
Yeah.
that product. So
Yes.
I think we must keep this open. I'm not saying that this can be correct, but this actually helps in promoting the advertisement. Maybe it is out of context, but still it's open. Number B, tough motor oil is periodically supplied free of charge to automobile manufacturers to use in factory new cars. Mm, Now this is saying that tough motor oil is periodically supplied free of charge to automobile manufacturers. Now automobile manufacturers using tough motor oil, that is not helping any consumer, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
if the manufacturers are getting it free or the manufacturers getting at some price, consumers have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I
Correct.
think this will not be the answer. Means we can eliminate this wholeheartedly. Okay, number three, tough motor oil share of the engine oil market peaked 3 years ago. So
We're not will not promote the share market thing to the consumer. It's a
okay,
share
tough motor
market.
oil share of the engine oil market peaked 3 years ago. So if it peaked 3 years ago, we don't know what it is right now. Right now it can be low. So
Hmm.
and the most important thing is we are least concerned about the share market. Correct. Means oil market, how much share they are having in it. We will see that it is helping the consumers or not. So I think we can eliminate this also, C also. So what's remaining is option A. Tough motor oil provides above average protection for engine that happens to overheat. Okay, so this is the only
That
um,
is
logically approved statement that is remaining. So okay, I think we can consider it as our answer of choice. Now let me see the correct answer. I am just sending this to you. 728. Just wait a minute. 728. Yeah, see, it is the correct answer. So this is the correct answer. Now let me find the reasoning. Why is it correct? It is correct because if tub provides above average protection on engines overheat, in addition to the solid protection it provides at normal and low temperature, it may well provide the best available protection overall. So see, our reasoning was correct. So do you find these things hard? Because it is generally common sense, correct? These questions, critical reasoning. This is actually common sense. How better you apply your thoughts. In the previous question, we went too deep and we were thinking too much here and there. So rather to say, I was thinking I should not include you because I made the wrong answer and it was my choice only. But in this question, you see, this is of the same difficulty. This is of the same difficulty, and how easily we can answer the question. So, are you enjoying the answer?
right now it's a 1 point out of two.
Yeah, so 50-50. Right now, we have made
Yeah.
one correct, one incorrect. Okay, now let's
Yeah.
move on to the third one. Third one is, have you opened the third one, 729?
Yes.
Okay. Linguist. Linguist is saying that in English, the past is described as behind and the future ahead. Okay. Whereas in Aymara, the past is ahead and the future is behind. So this is an interesting proposition, correct? Means you can relate it to Bengali also. So in English, they say the past is behind, the future is ahead. Now when we speak in Bengali, we say etar age, correct? When you say
Mm-hmm.
etar age ki chilo, that means before that or after that?
Okay.
Hello?
Got your point. Yeah.
So it is very much similar to Aymara. The past is ahead and the future is behind. Now, research indicates that English speakers say backward when discussing the past and forward when discussing the future. Conversely, Aymara speakers gesture forward with their hand when discussing the past and backward when discussing the future. Ah. This bodily movement therefore suggests that the language one speaks affects how one mentally visualizes time. So it's a wonderful statement. So what is the final conclusion they are drawing is that the last line. These bodily movements therefore suggest that the language one speaks affects how one mentally visualizes time. So the Aymara people they visualize past as ahead and the future as behind. While in common sense, which we also think that future is ahead and past is behind. So let's move on to the options. The linguistic reasoning depends on assuming which of the following. So the passage has been given and the linguist has assumed something. Now, which one of the following has he assumed from? Can you please read the options, please, for me?
So option A is at least some Aymara speakers swear forward when discussing the past and backward when discussing the future.
Okay, so this can be our correct answer because we can assume this to be, helping the
Hmm.
assumption of the linguist. So I will keep it open. Option B.
Option B, most people mentally visualize time as running either forward or backward. Point C, not all English or Aymara speakers tend to say or gesture forward or backward when discussing the present. Point B, how people move when discussing the future correlates to some extent with how they mentally visualize time. Point E, the researchers also examined the movement of at least some speakers of languages other than English or Aymara discussing the past and the future.
Okay, so you have read all the options. Now let us eliminate. So best way to go to the correct answer is to eliminate. Now option A. What do you think? At least
Um,
some Aymara speakers sway forward when discussing the past and backwards when discussing the future. So this can be right. This can be an assumption. See,
yeah,
if you want,
yeah.
I can read the passage once. No, let me read the
In
passage once also. In English, the past is described as behind and the future ahead, whereas in Aymara, the past is ahead and the future is behind. Okay, so this is the premise that he is saying. Now he is giving some points to to strengthen this. Research indicates that English speakers swear backwards when discussing the past and forward when discussing the future, and conversely, means to opposite to that, Aymara speakers gesture forward with their hands when discussing the past and backwards when discussing the future. Means when they use the gesture of their hands, they do it opposite to the English speaker. So he is concluding that these bodily movements therefore suggest that the language one speaks affects how one mentally visualizes the time. So the language you are speaking, it helps to visualize or it helps that what that person thinks about time. Whether it is past is future or sorry, past is ahead or behind, these things one has to visualize. So option A, we can keep it open, means it is not wrong in my sense. Option B, most people mentally visualize time as either running backward or forward. So this can also be an assumption the
yes,
author has, right?
yes.
This can also be. So we are keeping this open also. Option C, not all English and Aymara speakers tend to sway or gesture forward or backward when discussing the present. So does this help in any assumption? What do you think?
No, they are talking about the present, right here.
Ah, so
So,
so it is out of context. So
yeah,
they have not said anything past or future. It is present. So it is extra
present.
information we are getting. So I have to eliminate this. Option D, how people move when discussing the future correlates to some extent with how they mentally visualize time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that
this
is
can
also
be
correct.
an option also. I'm
Mm-hmm.
keeping it open. Option E, the researchers also examined the movement of at least some speakers of languages other than English and Aymara discussing the past and future. So this is also again out of context. So we are not concerned about the movements of other languages, right?
Just a second. The researchers also examined the movement of at least some speakers of languages other than English and are discussing the past and future. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we actually don't know whether the researchers examined the movement or
Yeah,
not.
other people.
So since we are not sure about it, we have to eliminate. So what are options are remaining? A, B, and D. So A is at least some IMRS speakers way forward when.
I think option D could be more relevant answer because as for the last line of the passage, it is more accurate, I think. The
How
option D.
people move when discussing the future correlates to some extent with how they mentally visualize time. Yeah, it seems to be a strong point. See, option B, most people mentally visualize time as either running forward or backward. What do you say about this one? Either
Okay.
running backward. So this can be an assumption also. Most people mentally visualize time as either running backward or forward because someone can visualize it going sideways also. But the assumption that he has taken that either forward or backward.
Right. So, just an argument, I can say point B. The statement is actually mostly talking about the future only. How people move when discussing the future correlates to some extent with how they mentally visualize time. But in the passage, we are actually discussing future and past both. So I think we can eliminate option D in this context.
Okay, how people move when discussing the future correlates to some extent how they mentally visualize time. Okay, I think you have made a strong point about this. It is only saying about the future. So in no way does it say about the past. Okay, so in your sense, we were eliminating this also. But
Uh,
to me,
now,
A and
now,
B are remaining.
yeah. So, uh,
See, option A it is saying that at least some IMR speakers way forward when discussing past and backward when discussing the future.
this could be a correct answer, but this
So
is not a correct answer, right? Because,
because it has been by default it has been said, right?
yeah,
It has been said by default in the passage only that they say the speakers gesture forward with their hands when discussing.
I think I'll go with option B.
B.
Yes.
Okay, so let me eliminate A also. D is also not strong. Most people mentally visualize time as either running forward or backward. Okay, it seems to be the right answer to me also, but I have little doubt with D also. It can be B or D. How people move when discussing the future correlates to some extent with how they mentally visualize time. Hmm. See, option D, they have said how people move. Um, they can move spiral also. That has been not said, right? How they move.
But here, okay, so this bodily movements are also mentioned, right?
Yeah.
like movement and time.
See, we have eliminated successfully A, we have eliminated C, we have eliminated E. But the choice between B and D, most people mentally visualize time as running either forward or backward. See, nothing has been said how the time is running.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has been said how the time is running. Correct. Time, everybody may think that time is running forward, but how they say that which one? See what I've said while stating the Bengali question. So, if Bengalis think that time is running forward, but when we say these things that aage ki chilo, that thing is different. How we speak about. So time is always running forward. We visualize the time is running. Okay, they have said either running forward or backward. Yeah. No, it is not clear whether time is running forward or backward has been mentioned in the passage, or whether one thinks it's running forward or backward. Everybody may think that it is running forward, but they defined past as uh, ahead and future as behind.
So
Are you
if
getting what I am saying?
if all the options is giving you like
No, I am
confusion,
suggesting option D. How people
option
move
D.
when discussing the future correlates to some extent how they mentally visualize time. See, this is all about gestures, right? The whole passage is how
Mm.
one give the gestures. So, how people move when discussing the future actually correlates to some extent that how they mentally visualize time, whether it is ahead or behind. So, what do you think about my reasoning?
Uh, I think I'll go with option A because A is pretty much straightforward actually.
No, see, at least
Why
some
not
I must
A?
speakers way forward when discussing the past and backward.
You cannot deny this point, right? This is if option B and D.
No. See, option A we can eliminate. See, let me tell you why.
How?
So, because that is not an assumption, that is a fact. Option A says, see, the question asks the linguistic reasoning depends on assuming which one of the following. So, is the linguistic assuming that at least some IMR speakers way forward when discussing the past and backward when discussing the future? Because he has already stated that as a fact. So, when something is a fact, so you cannot assume that, right? If I say that the sun rises in the east, so that doesn't mean I am assuming it rises in the east. It is a fact. So he has said it very clearly in the first line that in English the past is described as behind and the future as ahead, whereas in Aymara the past is ahead and the future is behind. So he is stating that this is a fact. So he cannot assume that then. Are you understanding? Means why I have eliminated that one?
Okay. Okay. I'm actually very much confused right now.
It is a little bit confusing, but
Just
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 let me clear it to you.
yeah.
See, what I've said
I
that
I I got your points actually. That's not the problem, but it's okay. The options are very confusing. So
so I think um,
I'll go with the flow.
so according to me, I think option D is the correct answer.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just move on to the you know mm, yeah. So option D is actually the correct answer.
Mhm.
Okay, so see, let me read the reasoning. The fact that English and IMRS speakers sway or gesture in the ways described would be irrelevant to the linguistic conclusion if how people move when discussing the future does not correlate, at least to some extent, how they visualize the time. See, this one only I am saying that they have always said about the gesture they are using. So therefore, how we sway when we describe the future actually helps us to understand how people visualize time. Okay, so this was a little bit difficult for sure because what I've said, the answers are very much, very little difference from each answer, and you have to means think why this one is wrong, why this one is correct. So my reasoning stood here stronger, therefore I got it right. Wrong, sorry, correct. But your reasonings were also correct, but which one is more correct? We have to see that. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to the last question for today. Will be the last question um, for today. Yeah. Let me read. The Testament of William Thorpe was published in 1530 as an appendix to Thorpe's longer examinations. Many scholars, however, doubt the attribution of the testament to Thorpe because, whereas the examination is dated 1406, the testament is dated 1460. Okay, let me read once. The Testament of William Thorpe was published around 1530 as an appendix to Thorpe's longer examination. Many scholars, however, doubt the attribution of the testament to Thorpe because, whereas the examination is dated 1406, the testament is dated 1460. One scholar, so there is difference in date. That all it means. One scholar has recently argued that the 1460 date be amended to 1409 based on the observation that when these numbers are expressed as Romans, this and this, it becomes easy to see how the dates might have become confused through scribal error. Means when they were, translating, they made the mistake. Which one of the following, if true, would most support the scholar's hypothesis concerning the date of testament? Where is the scholar? The scholar is, let me, based on the observation. Yeah, one scholar has recently argued that 1460 date be amended to 1409 based on the observation that when these numbers are expressed as numeral, both are MCCCC-LX and other one is MCCCC-IX. It may easily become to see how the dates might have confused. So the dates were little bit confusing. So which one of the following, if true, would most support the scholar's hypothesis concerning the date of testament? The option: the sole evidence that historians have had William Thorpe died no earlier than 1460 was presumed date of publication of testament. Mm, no earlier than 1460 was the presumed date of publication of the testament. So I don't think this is the correct answer because nothing has been said about where he died or not. B. In the preface of 1530 publication, the editor attributes both works to William Thorpe. Okay, this can be, let me see, published around 1530 as an appendix. Many scholars, however, doubted. Just. Let me see this. Doubted that the testament to Thorpe because, whereas the examination is dated 1480, the testament is dated. mm, okay. Few writers in the 15th century England marked dates in their work using only Roman numerals. This can be: the testament alludes to date Friday, September 20, as apparently contemporaneous with the writing of the testament. The September 20 fell on Friday in 49, but not in 1460. The testament alludes to a date Friday 20, as apparently contemporaneous fell on a Friday, but not in. Okay, so this is a strong point. E. The testament contains few references to historical events that occurred later than 1406. Okay, so I think option D will be the answer because see, it is a factual statement that February 20 was given Friday, but September 20 fell on Friday in 1409, but not in 1460. So I will go with option D. Let me see the correct answer. Uh, mm, see, so D is the correct answer, which I have chosen. Okay, so I think it was pretty much balanced way. One incorrect and three correct answers. I hope you enjoyed too. Um, I will, as usual, I will continue with my normal flow of, uploading videos from the next. This was a special episode. I hope you enjoyed, Ria. Hello. I think we have lost the connection for something. Okay, so that's all. Thank you, everyone. I will upload the later videos in the coming days. Okay. Thank you. Good night.